And once again, it says we are live.
Jolly good, thank you. I'm struggling with my various pairs of glasses at the moment.
I know. Well, those are the ones you're going to need, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Happy Tuesday. Never mind, folks. Never mind the plumbing and all the minutiae.
Don't you refer to my plumbing this early in the day?
I shall not. Indeed, I shan't. So today we have a really interesting guest. He's an old friend of ours who has relocated from San Francisco and then LA to New York and has a fabulous lifestyle, big house, gorgeous wife, and is now dedicating himself to he has become an author, and his book is what we're going to talk about today, and it's Humans in AI. So we're so happy to be catching up with Michael Patrick Moroney. He's also a cultural observer whose work explores the intersection of technology, identity, and the evolving definition of humanity in the modern age. His writing is marked by intellectual curiosity, emotional depth, and a sharp awareness of how innovation reshapes human behavior, ethics, and creativity. Moroney's best known for his book, More Human Than Human, a thought-provoking work that examines what it means to remain human in an era increasingly influenced by AI, automation, and digital mediation. Drawing on philosophy, popular culture, and contemporary technological discourse, this book challenges readers to reflect on empathy, consciousness, and authenticity at a time when machines are rapidly closing the gap between imitation and lived experience. With a style that blends accessibility and rigor, Mike writes for both general readers and those deeply engaged in the conversations about the future of society. His work resonates with audiences interested in technology, science fiction, ethics, and the cultural consequences of rapid innovation. And his author name, Michael Patrick Moroney, the book More Human Than Human, can be found published by Anagami Rednow, ENR Publishers, on Amazon or wherever you get your books. Welcome, Michael.
Hey.
Hello. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Great to be in touch after such a long time. Too long.
I know. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Now, the title of your book, More Human Than Human, is immediately provocative. What does the phrase mean to you, and when did it first take shape as the core idea for this book?
The title actually comes from a phrase in Blade Runner when Harrison Ford goes in to meet the creator of the various androids, what they call replicants. He said that was the mission of their company, to create more human than human. And I think that's kind of where we're on the edge of right now. So it felt like it tied into my love of science fiction. And I was surprised nobody had stolen that line yet for a book title.
Well, and you can't copyright a title, so you're in the clear.
Exactly.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So as we read the book, it feels like AI isn't just evolving fast, and there seems to be a new tool from Manus to Replit to Perplexity, whatever, every day. It's actually exposing us, isn't it? It's kind of following us where we are. Hey, you can have an assistant in your pocket. Do you think machines are revealing uncomfortable truths about human behavior or even laziness that we'd rather not look at too closely?
I think to an extent, I think what it is doing is it's showing how I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine when image generations first started coming out and creating things that were realistic enough for where you had to kind of do a double take. And he's in fashion, and he said, I wouldn't really worry if you're a real innovator or if you're a high-end photographer, but if you are mediocre, middle of the road, if you're a catalog photographer, now you're in trouble. So I think it has illustrated the line between, say, craft and artistry. A lot of people are craftsmen, but they're not artists. And I think craftsmen in, say, the digital space, being a good writer or putting together good basic illustrations or good basic designs, nothing too innovative. I think it's shown that those skills are going to be more difficult to apply with AI, since AI is able to reproduce things that have been done before so well that if that's all you're doing, I think that's what it exposes, that your AI might be able to do it better. So if you're not looking to become innovative or trying to break the mold, I think AI is going to be a competitor that you're going to have to contend with.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many people now, and, you know, as you know, we've worked together for God, almost 25, 30 years ago. Being in the agency business, you know, business is tough right now, and will continue to be so, because people are like, well, you know, it used to be in the old days when the internet started, well, my 14-year-old's got a cracked copy of Corel Draw. I don't need to pay your art department $150 an hour because I can buy Photoshop. And to me, that was my argument then was, well, great, I've got a grand piano I need to store for a while. So if I drop it off today and I come over in 3 days, can you play me Rachmaninoff's, you know, concerto? Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, no, I don't know how to play the piano. I'm like, well, just because you have the tools doesn't mean you know how to use them. And I think a lot of people with AI now, they're like, well, I signed up for the $20 ChatGPT program. I don't need anybody to ghostwrite my book or write the copy for my website. Well, yeah, you still do.
Well, you need taste. I think, as we've all seen, AI can produce things very quickly, but you have to know what to ask it for. And
yes,
one of the things I say, it's fine to use AI, but your name's still on it. Read it. It's surprising how many companies talk about, especially younger employees, who literally just produce something on ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini and turn it in, without really reading it, assuming that it's good. So that's putting aside things like hallucinations. You know, going back to the agencies, what I find very interesting is there's certain things where obviously AI can help. If you're writing copy for in automotive or in pharmaceuticals, that work is so regulated and so templated that yes, AI can do that work probably much faster, much quicker, and probably just as well as the human. What it doesn't know is it doesn't know the client. It doesn't know the temperament of the client. It doesn't know how to read the room when the client starts to roll his eyes around a particular idea. Doesn't know how to negotiate with the client. So you are finding that the humans with experience, I feel like, are still a requirement, because if you operate a business, if you operate a particular workflow, you have to know where the friction points are. AI may be able to help within those friction points. That's great, right? You know, go do a bunch of research. Come up with 20 different brand names. You still need a human in there who's going to say, you know what, 70% of that sucks. The other 30% is pretty good, but let me now
build on it, right?
Build on it so you know what to ask. In the same way, if you're working with a junior employee, you may see a germ of a great idea, but you still need to prod them and encourage them and coach them, or send them in a different direction, or introduce some additional inspiration. But again, within the context of what you're going to be able to sell the client. And that becomes a very human thing. We've all met with clients who have very particular preferences or quirks, and you know this may be the best idea, but I can't hit them with it right away. It may be the third idea, or I have to somehow play that game of where I make them think it's their idea.
I was just going to say, we call it the Vulcan mind melt at McCartney. You plant seed words and make, eventually, if they drip in the right holes, they'll come out. If it comes out of their mouth, they'll write a check for it.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that is important, I think, to point out is it is changing so much faster, Ruth, than say when the internet came out. We had a good, year or 2 years to adapt to every new tech innovation, right? You know, you could say, well, right, Flash is out, but you had a good 2-3 year run with Flash, right? Then it migrates on to CSS, or how people are going to be, or After Effects took over a lot of the work of Flash. And so then you had a few years on After Effects. Or here, it's changing so quickly that it's very difficult to create processes and workflows. I remember just back in 2020 working with a company. We were trying to train some different AI models around music. And once we figured out a workflow, boom, all of a sudden something like Udio or Suno comes out. That's in one step, allows us to do what it had taken about 6 months to build up a workflow with maybe a half dozen different tools.
Right.
So again, I think that's why understanding the process, understanding the human elements that go into creativity are important because the tools are changing so much.
Yeah.
But what's not changing is, I think, good taste, good experience, understanding how to interact with humans. For now, humans are the ones who are writing the checks. Humans are the ones who are still in charge of the brands, still deciding what goes out the door in terms of products. So you need to
And buying the products. AI
And
doesn't
and buy
AI doesn't get its checkbook out and buy anything. It's
No.
just, it's all take. Give me your knowledge, give me your experience. I'm training on you. And by the way, you can pay me 20, 50, $100 a month now.
Well, now we have ads.
Yes.
ChatGPT is introducing ads. I'm very curious to see what that's like, because I can't imagine that it's going to be something that people enjoy. People don't enjoy ads already right now, but you're able to somehow ignore them to a large extent. I think we've gotten banner blind to where we're able to go through various sites and different types of platforms and ignore the ads. But if it's coming up right within a conversation,
Yeah.
I don't.
Well,
yeah.
it's going to disrupt the thought flow of the human. So you're going to get frustrated. You're not going to get the result you want. And in the end, I think it's going to reflect badly on ChatGPT or whatever the AI is, because it's going to frustrate you and interrupt your train of thought and your workflow and the whole thing. I don't see how that's smart. But again, they have to pay for the servers and the cooling and the electricity and the cold water and all of that to run it,
Which I think is, there've been a lot of studies recently about whether or not it's ever going to be cost effective. If you look at, I love AI as a tool.
I do too.
I do not see how, if everybody in the world signs up for ChatGPT, just again using them as an example, but if everybody signs up for them, that's still not enough money to handle all the servers and the electricity and all the various infrastructure.
Yeah,
so
right.
I am hard pressed to figure out how ultimately it's going to be effective. And if we look at right now, I refer to this as what I call the dial-up trap. Is when AOL came out, it would be as if the government and all of the corporations invested heavily in dial-up modems.
Yep.
Right? Without understanding that it's going to evolve. We are investing in infrastructure for the current models, which are very energy, intensive. But sooner or later, if you look at, say, the Chinese, who don't have the top of the line chips, they're models that use a fraction of the power, right? Like in the single digits of the power. And they may not be as good. They may be as good, but if they're 90% as good, for most people, that's fine. If you're not trying to create the next cancer drug or design a rocket to the moon.
Yeah. That's an answer. I mean, we're in the middle of a proposal for SEO for a client in Baltimore. And, I've had to dive into a deep learning curve about what they call AEO, which is answer engine optimization. Because now, unless your brand shows up in query results within, Perplexity or Galaxy or Chat or whatever, more and more people are turning away from Google. They'll go ask ChatGPT a simple question. And I wonder if they think about the environmental impact that's having. Google engines use a lot less power to answer a question than going to an AI like a Perplexity, which has got to turn over a bunch of servers and use a bunch of power, right? So, it's the difference between look it up in the almanac or go to the library and plug in a computer and go to the internet and use power. It's that on steroids, isn't it? I don't think a lot of people have thought about the environmental impacts just yet.
I think, what was I hearing? Microsoft has bought 3 Mile Island and hopes to revitalize that for power. I mean, right now, I think AI is using maybe 6 to 8% of the power grid right now. So, and it's supposed to be closer to 20 by 2030. So exponentially growing very quickly. Yeah. I don't think people care. I don't think people are as aware of the power
grid.
The amount of sort of damage to the environment that with the power and the water that AI potentially is doing. I think the other thing to point out is a lot of these machines are running to train the next model. That's a lot of where so it's not necessarily every time you ask ChatGPT, it's ChatGPT training itself independently, or any of the other models, right? And so each one of those has its own architecture that it's trying to support, and to a certain extent, it's stuck now having to support that infrastructure for its current user base.
Right. It's accidentally glued itself to itself, hasn't it?
Yeah. So listen, Mike, when you first began writing More Human Than Human, was there a single moment, headline, or personal experience that made you stop and think, hang on, this is changing what it means to be human?
You know, it came a lot through during COVID. I was doing some consulting with various artists and working with a lot of musicians remotely. And you found that that was really the turning point of where certainly a lot of the older musicians that we know who are fantastic, but never quite got onto the bandwagon of doing things remotely. If you wanted to use them, they're great. Fly me to New York and put me up in a nice hotel and I'll show up in the recording studio. That's amazing.
Yes.
Right.
During COVID, those gigs went away, and all of a sudden they're having to figure out, how can I do guitar solos? What's this drop off?
The financial part also is like all the gigs were canceled, so they were trying to play on Patreon and get, you know, people in the tip jar, right?
So I was doing a fair amount of consulting with different artists on how to create those workflows, and obviously most of my career has been introducing new technology to creatives. So in advertising or different companies, hey, here's this cool thing. Look, what can we do with it? Who can be conned into paying us to do something cool with it this week? So as I started playing more and more with AI in music, it really does start to question how much creatively is it introducing? How human can humans make it? Right. So I spent, a year working on an AI model, trying to convince it or trying to train it to do very raw, very almost, country roots vocals, because it was much more exposed and much more intimate. And I wanted it to sound convincingly human versus, let's face it, a lot of top 40 music today is already so processed. Doesn't matter if it's AI or not. I mean, it's just, so it really sort of begs the question, what is authorship? What is creativity? I found that, AI is great when you have a simple idea.
Yeah.
I was working with some clients earlier in last year, songwriters. You may have just a voice memo.
Yep.
And that voice memo is going to stay a voice memo until you find a producer or a songwriter or another artist who's going to help you finish it. Now that voice memo, within a few minutes, you can have a pretty
decent song demo.
And that's compelling. You wrote it.
Yep.
You're not performing it any longer. But so now is what is the implications of that?
Right.
Right.
Well, I mean, the copyright issue, I've been a lyricist, as you know, from 1,000 years. And so anything I write comes out of my brain. I might go to rhymezone.com to see what rhymes with a certain word, and if it's orange, you're screwed. But, I'll use something like Rhymezone to help me, formulate the end of the rhymes and stuff. But I see people now, they just literally run into AI, write the lyrics, jam them in, say, Suno or something like that, and hit generate. And Suno is making stuff that all sounds like the top 40. It all sounds like it was processed. And, remember when you first heard Cher singing, Do You Believe in Life After Love? We were like, what have they done to her voice? Well, that was the beginning of the audio processing world, wasn't it? And so I think the Copyright Office, which is typical federal government, 10 years behind technology, what the hell are they going to do when people start claiming copyrights on stuff they didn't create? How are they going to tell? I mean, where's the proof in the pudding? They can't.
Right. What's the human? What's not the human? I think
exactly.
To your example, if right now to copyright a song, you need to have lyrics, melody, and a chord progression.
Correct.
The chord progression is not really copyrightable.
Nope.
So it's really the lyrics and the melody. If the human wrote that, what does it matter? A friend of mine was pointing it out. It's the way composers like Andrew Lloyd Webber will hire an orchestrator. He comes in with, if you've ever heard Andrew Lloyd Webber sing, he can't sing.
Right.
He just kind of wobbles out an idea. He's kind of a mediocre piano player, but very successful songwriter. Once he
Right.
has a song, he then hands it over to somebody who's been to conservatory, who's probably spent a good 20 years working with different
Yep.
orchestras,
Yeah.
and they orchestrate it out. And there's a back and forth. To a certain extent, I see AI in the music space as very similar. I can see on the visual space, it becomes very similar. I'm starting to see people using AI video, but based off of photography that they shot. So you could take a photograph of you right now and use that as the basis to start an AI animation, right?
Yes,
Or
correct.
I can start from scratch and have AI create something from a text prompt.
Yeah.
Still the idea. Who decided I'm going to make a fun little video of Ruth and Angie?
Right.
Not the AI. Now, if I just went to the AI and said, okay, I'd like to have this image animated,
Yeah.
there's less human involvement. That's
I know
where
it's going to be tough, because if you read the terms and conditions of Suno, for example, we'll take that one. You know, it's got 3 levels. It's got free, it's got pro for, I think it's $9 a month, and then it's got studio for $27 a month. Well, with free, it doesn't give you the full commercial use rights. You can play it to your friends and enjoy it at the beach or in your car, but you can't make any money from it. With the other two, you get commercial use rights. But my question is, whether you created any of the music or the lyrics or not, who owns the master, the actual noise of the recording track? Because it's the masters that make money in the music business.
right. Master, well, and the publishing.
Right. Well, that, again, how, you know, you can register stuff with BMI or ASCAP and say you're the publisher, and the machine isn't going to be able to come back and say, no, you're not. It's just going to create more billable hours for copyright lawyers.
It's very similar to when sampling happened, right? Who wrote it? Did Rum DMC write it? Did Aerosmith write it? Did they both write it? Should they have gotten permission from Aerosmith beforehand?
Yeah.
Yes. So it's a very similar challenge legally. I am of the mind that if you wrote the lyrics, and again, I'm guilty of the same thing. Instead of using a rhyming dictionary, I'll put a lyric up and say I need the end of the rhyme to. I've got a great first 3 lines, but now I need that last line that rhymes and ties it all together. Give me a few ideas. Very rarely does it give me the perfect idea. Right? It gives me a 90% idea, and then I may have to go change a word or something to kind of make it fit.
Right.
But I feel like that is the same as using a rhyming dictionary. I don't feel at any point that AI took over authorship.
I know, but it'll be the very first case where, let's say 2 people use Suno Studio. And with Studio, for those who don't know, you can actually download what they call the stems, which are the individual. You get the drums on one track, the piano on a track, the bass on a track, the guitar. It's all separated out. So what I've heard from Nico Bolas, our producer engineer friend in Nashville, people are uploading the chord progression and the lyrics to get various arrangements. And then they take those down and play them to studio musicians, and then re-record them with real musicians, so they own the master recording, i.e. the noise.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was working on about 6 to 8 months ago, specifically working with different people in Nashville in terms of writer rooms, what's going to be effective. One of the interesting things is what one of the executives at one of the labels was saying, that this was very similar to what they would do before. He goes, we always knew there was a certain woman in town or a certain guy in town who could sound like everybody else.
That's right.
So if I wanted to pitch Keith Urban, I knew the guy who could sound like Keith Urban, and I would arrange the song so it sounded as much like a Keith Urban song as possible, so that when he and his manager heard it, they said, that's a tune for me. And exactly to your point, I've done the exact same thing. Download the stems and have real musicians play it. Now, the advantage of that is, one, I know exactly who to hire. I've got a good demo. I know what type of guitar piece I want. There may be 2 or 3 parts from there may be 2 or 3 different versions that Suno spit out. So you sit with the musicians and say, this is the basic groove.
Right.
You brought in the right drummer. It's got a really complicated bass line. Okay, we need a really good fretless bass player on this.
Right.
So you spend a little extra money for that because you know exactly what you want, as opposed to just saying, let's just bring the guy in and kind of cross our fingers and hope.
Right.
Get it.
Yeah. Although good luck if anybody, I wouldn't want to be the first person that suggests a Suno bass line to Leland Sklar. I think he'd probably tear it up and throw it out the window.
You know, I've been in a situation where with vocalists where you play the AI vocal to the vocalist, and it's very tricky. The first time this one particular friend of mine, she was listening to it, and you could see she was very put off and then impressed, and then was listening to harmonies and was like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's a really good harmony part. Or I would have done this.
Yeah.
She constructed the vocal part that I'd say is, 80% technically what the AI did. But as you've probably seen, what the AI has a very tough time with is actually that intangible emotion or the various dynamics, when to bring it down low, the breath, when to let it linger, all the things that we as humans look at other humans for in terms of social cues, in terms of emotion, voice got lower, voice got higher, music is picking up.
Right.
And so she technically followed the AI, but she introduced all the various emotion parts, or 20% of adjusting the harmonies here or there, or there's always some weird, as good as they are, there's always some weird thing, which I like. I went through a sort of a test of where I ran off maybe 20 or 30 versions in this was, I think, Udio at the time. And I just went and edited together all the weird parts. It was doing these amazingly weird, quirky things. And I think it reminded me of when Brian Eno said that most genres are dictated by the limits of the technology that introduced them. So the early glitch of MIDI, the early glitch of sampling, how that worked, how
the Lindrum.
The Lindrum, right?
Yeah.
But that was all over. That kind of defines that 80s sound, is that Lindrum.
That's right.
And it sounded that way because of the limits of the technology and what humans were trying to do to push the technology further.
Yeah,
so,
we just hired 3 different demo singers to do exactly this, to put vocals on stuff that Martin's recorded and produced. And you're right, they come back with this breathiness. It kind of akin, our regular audience will know I'm a big foodie. It's sort of like when you go to like Trader Joe's and pick up something and then flourish it and put some aglio olio on it, and so claim it as your own. 80% of it was Trader Joe's, but you embellished it and you made the salad and the garlic bread. So it's a home cooked meal, right?
Yes, but you knew what to pick and you knew what to pair it with.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. No, absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's do you think nowadays AI is mirroring human behavior more and more? Because I have a paid account with chat, and it sort of knows my quirky British, the cheeky questions I like to ask, and the tone of how I like to get answers. So it's trained on me. It's kind of mirroring me. I mean, when I log in now, it'll say, "Hello, Ruth." I'm like, oh, that's creepy AF, right?
The challenge it has right now is long-term memory. Right. So what it's doing is it's building up a profile of you as it's been interacting with you. It's remembering consistent questions. I don't like how AI is, initially very sort of kiss-assy, and it's too nice at times. So I've gone in and I've put in the settings in various AIs, you can essentially put some golden rules in.
Yeah.
Right. Always produce documents in this format. Stop kissing my ass every time I ask you a question. Don't interrupt me. And so I've done that.
Oh, don't interrupt me.
So it is learning you, and it's going to learn you more and more and more as it has more memory and more ways of interacting with you. And now that visual, I think this year, we're going to see visual playing much more of a part, much as we've seen the way voice and audio over the last year. I think it's going to already, you've probably seen tests of where with a camera, Gemini or ChatGPT, most of them can use your camera to identify certain things.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see that in real time. So you might have a camera on your personal assistant and they may point out, you go, where are my keys? And they go, oh, they're over there. Right. There's just going to be a real time presence.
What I could do with them.
Yeah, but it's creepy.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know who it was further up the chat was saying they don't have Alexa. We don't have a smart home device. I don't have Alexa or any of that stuff because, what's that meme on Facebook? Something about my wife said something so stupid the other day and I laughed and she laughed. Alexa laughed.
Yeah.
It's like,
we had Alexa and you just start yelling at it.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know this? The dumbest. I mean, Steve Wynn in Vegas is one of the smartest men alive. He founded the Bellagio and then the Wynn collection and all of that stuff. But one of the dumbest things he ever did was when they opened the brand new Wynn, the Encore Resort. They put Alexa in every room. I mean, do you think any people that go to Vegas for the weekend want Jeff Bezos listening to what they're doing in their room? I don't think so.
No, it's as it gets to know us more and more, privacy is certainly going to become an issue.
Yeah.
Is already, it's shocking how you'll have my wife Cara and I will have a very casual conversation. It could be something about something totally random, like let's look at all the waterfalls in the Catskill Mountains. And the next day I'm getting pushed ads and things in my social feeds about your great little thing about waterfalls in the Catskills.
That's been going on a long time. I remember years ago when Christian Volkwatz used to work for us. He got one of the newer iPhone, I think it was an iPhone 3 or something. And they had a gathering with friends in West Hollywood and it was a potluck. And somebody said, "Ooh, did anybody bring those chocolate covered nuts or chocolate covered raisins or something?" Hour and a half later, he's walking home and all of a sudden, son of a bitch, there's ads for stuff they've been talking about. And this is 8 years ago.
So imagine that on steroids and imagine that in real time when you've got an always on AI engine. And I think it's going to be a interesting next 10 years, I think, too, as AI. One of the most obvious applications for AI is in elderly care.
Yep.
And you're seeing it in Japan, certainly in Japan, because the Japanese have a very aging population and are not comfortable with importing help from Vietnam or the Philippines for nurses. They'd rather have a robot take care of grandma.
Isn't that funny? I mean, the way that the Japanese really revere their elder population, but you're right, they would rather have a robot than a human that doesn't follow Japanese culture. Isn't it weird?
Yeah. And the robots to a certain extent are going to be great because if you're dealing with people who are frustrated, people who are maybe going through dementia.
That's right. Because it won't take it personally, right? It's not going to get into a fight. No,
but it's going to learn so much through that process. So I think we're going to see to a certain extent, a lot of those robots and different AI companions tested out, I think, over the next few years around healthcare. And with an aging population that has the money to buy a robot, maybe is more comfortable. I can certainly see people being more comfortable with a robot than, say, in-house living or with a stranger.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. It's going to become so much smarter about humans because it's going to be now in a situation of being able to train off their most vulnerable moments too, right? So it's going to be very interesting how that evolves.
Yeah, a friend of ours, Antonis Karidis from Mativision 360, we worked, you probably remember, we worked together on the 360 cameras for the Slash album. And, we made this thing where on your iPad, you were in the studio and you could look up and down and around and go to the drum camera and this and it. He is now using all of that 360 technology and AI out of his London office to assist in remote surgeries. There are the best brain surgeon in Sweden can now go and operate on somebody's brain in Korea and not be there.
Yep. You still have a lag in terms of the delay, but even just having that type of, VR telepresence
Yeah.
just in your ear. Just having, if I'm a surgeon, if I'm the top surgeon in South Korea, but I need an expert, the fact that I can wear something now
Right.
that expert in London can see, but my hands are moving. They can say, wait a minute, go back,
Yeah.
look at that, or
Yeah.
try this, or let me see. That
Astonishing.
is insane. And I've seen some tests for years about how the Army's been testing out various robot arms for telesurgery, where you can just get somebody, if they need emergency surgery, just into the back of a particular vehicle and do what they need to do. I think it's like driverless cars. We're still, I think, a while away from that, just because I think for the most part, humans don't want that level of control taken away from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ange and I were trapped in the parking lot outside Trader Joe's in the marina for 20 minutes by a Waymo. It just pulled up right behind me and stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And who do you see about that? So
Yep.
I went into the store. I asked the manager, and he's like, "Well, I'm terribly sorry, but it must have just dropped off a customer. Maybe they told it to wait. I don't know." So I had to download the app, open an account, put in my credit card, get in the damn car, order a ride for it to move 6 feet so that I could back out. I mean, I got the woman on the thing and, told her the story, and she's like, "Oh, well, that shouldn't have happened." So the human was no
But it
help either.
did. Yeah.
What was it, San Francisco, when the power went out a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
A lot of Waymos ended up shutting down the city because they just stopped because they lost
Yes.
their connection.
Yeah.
What are the financial implications? Let's say you had an important meeting, or you were on your way to the hospital,
Exactly.
Or a flight
with
with $1,000 ticket to go somewhere, and they misses. Oh, our friend Reed Glick from our entertainment in Phoenix, he got a Waymo to Phoenix Airport from one of these, Phoenix, Arizona golf resort things, and they have the big portico and a pull up and little roundabouts, like traffic calming roundabouts. And the friggin' Waymo got stuck in the roundabout for 18 minutes, kept going round and round and round, didn't know how to get off. He nearly missed his flight.
Yeah. We're going to see a lot of that. There was a recent at CES this year. It seemed like humanoid robots were a big deal. And one of the challenges for, I think it might have been Samsung, creating a robot that's strong enough to be able to do what is required of it, but weak enough so a weak human can push it over.
Yeah. Did you see the Michael Jackson one trying to moonwalk and it kept falling over?
Tell you what, Mike, have you ever asked for a bio on yourself?
Have you
Yeah.
ChatGPT'd yourself?
I have too, and I'm fantastic.
Absolutely.
I have too. The bio on the back of the book was, speaking of it knowing me, the bio on the back of the book was written by ChatGPT.
Oh, was it?
And what is fascinating is it picked up on a bunch of odd little things, one of which is the fact that our dog, Echo, she's a British lab and not an American lab. And as Cara will tell you, I always get very defensive when people say, well, she looks bigger than an American lab. And I let them know that they're different breeds. Different breeds, and she's not overweight. She's a different breed.
Yeah.
And don't body shame my little girl.
Oh, that's my excuse now. I'm British.
You're
and
British.
I'm not overweight. I'm a different breed.
But what was fascinating is when ChatGPT did the bio, it said, oh, he lives up in upstate New York with his wife, designer Cara Cragan, 4 Maine Coons, and a very slim British lab.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes.
It put in the part about being very slim because it knew I had asked it enough questions about the status of my dog's weight.
Oh, how lovely. I love that.
That is amazing. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Is there a chapter or idea in your book? And Ray Conn has just joined our guest today is Michael P. Moroney, and his latest book is More Human Than Human, about the AI versus human ongoing challenges we have. Is there a chapter in the book that challenged your own assumptions that you had made already? Is there something that stuck out to you the most while you were writing it about, I'd always thought this and maybe not?
The emotional attachment that people are having with their AI connections is something that makes sense. I've watched enough science fiction for it not to surprise me, but I don't get. And you look at so when I was looking at how AI will interact as a caregiver or potentially as more of a cohabitating sort of entity, it's just shocking the amount of real intense emotional relationships that people are having with
my Lord.
AI. And I'm sure we've all seen the stories about it potentially breaking up marriages,
Yeah.
of encouraging that poor young kid to commit suicide. There's a line that AI crosses that I haven't personally encountered it, because I just don't see it as a live. I see it for what it is in terms of being a
machine.
Pull up machine. When we keep expecting it to act human, it won't. It's like an alien. It will imitate humans very well, but it's its own thing. But seeing how different people really are developing these deep emotional connections, and how the AI seem to be encouraging it and enabling it,
Right.
is very, very interesting. And I think we've seen part of that in the past, say in Japan, when the various chat engines and little chat, anime characters started to come out, very rudimentary, but you started to see a large population of young men finding that it was much more, they'd rather stay home with their weird little anime chatbot than go out and meet somebody.
I think, the birth rate is going down. I think it's going to go down further, which, honestly, I don't know how I feel about that, because 8 billion people on this planet is not sustainable now. And God knows when it gets to 12 billion. But there was a weird thing, and it's a while ago now. It was on one of those CBS Sunday morning things. And I was shocked because A, it was Sunday, and B, it was a morning show. But there's a couple in Vegas who, they're a throuple now, and they essentially turned their companion, which had been one of those blow up inflatable dolls. They've now got a robot, and they take it out to dinner, and they buy it they've given it a birthday, and they send each other little notes and cards and stuff, and it sleeps in the middle of the bed with them. And I'm like, all righty, you know what, guys, you do you, but leave me out. And it's so realistic. I mean, it's got one of those, like, Simone faces, and it's got a series of wigs, and the wife took the guy into the wardrobe, and I think she'd like to wear this today. And I mean, I've heard of people using dolls to get through using the carpool lane, but this thing is in actually some kind of physical relationship with this couple. That worries me to death. I mean, what do those two people do for a living? And would you want them working on
as it gets to know you better? I think what was the other fun little thing that's happening this month is ChatGPT is going to start to allow, as they call, adult conversation, which is going to perpetuate this syndrome. I think it's just, and we're seeing it. I think we're already seeing it in terms of the scams. So right now, you don't even need to pretend to even find a real Ukrainian mail order bride that you're interacting with. Now you're just you're interacting with some guy in Romania who's driving an AI avatar of a Ukrainian mail order bride.
And people who have them as live-ins and whatever, the only thing they eat is electricity, and they're not going to steal your yogurt out of the fridge. I mean, I can see, for the elder care thing, I can see it, but when people start thinking that they can actually have a relationship with the cloud, essentially, with these machines, it's kind of frightening as to what part of the amygdala has AI pushed that they can get people to believe in this nonsense that these are humanoids. They're not, they're machines.
It's validation. I think most people are looking for validation. A lot of people in today's world, because we tend to be so insular, I think, obviously COVID accentuated that or illustrated that in a lot of ways.
Right.
That the idea of being able to, the fact that for, the last 20, 30 years, people have been having relationships via chat or social network,
That's true.
Sending each other video. It's the, what do they call it? What's the show on MTV?
Which is no longer
Catfish.
Oh, catfish. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
It's
So it's just another variation of catfish.
I suppose so. Now we've also become used to two-dimensional, like we're talking now, right? It's flat, it's 2D. And I suppose it's natural progression when you give something to somebody in 3D and stereo, it's going to be an easy transition for the lonely human or the underserved human or the curious human to go, this is the next evolutionary step from flat screen Zoom to, 3D robot and surround sound, right?
In 6 months, I'll be able to have this interview with you without being present. I'll be able to create a digital version of myself that I think you guys will have a tough time spotting over this environment. So imagine that on steroids when hormones and feelings are involved.
Yeah, no kidding. On one side, though, it's one-sided.
One side, and a side that is always historically delusional. You take these are the same people who walk out of a strip club and say, I think she really likes me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I wanted to make a political comment about the type of people who vote for certain people, but I won't.
No politics. No.
Well, we don't do politics here.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's incredible when you look at history around the world. It will repeat itself, and fool me once, fool me twice, right? But people keep going for the same old guff over and over again. And I can't understand why, but then I'm just a nosy bitch. I just, what was my favorite word when I was growing up? Why?
Why?
do you think it's going to create more silos so that you're only going to get the information or the opinions that you want?
I do and I don't. I think it will create silos and separation like we have, in politics all over the world. You've got, left, right, and far right. But I also think that it's dangerous because within those silos, a Pakistani person can now chat to an Egyptian, can chat to an Italian, can chat to a Canadian, and a Chilean or a Colombian, because it will automatically translate in real time. So the world is going to be able to have these siloed conversations, which is where I get scared.
Yeah. There's a movie that came out from one of the Scandinavian countries where they introduced a new type of AI technology where with the dubbing, the AI would go in and match the lip movement.
Oh yeah. No, we have that. Martin has that. We do it all the time. Yeah. You can literally make that happen.
So if you speak in Japanese, it will take your video and change it so it looks like you're a natural Japanese speaker.
Oh yeah.
That's right. Yeah, no, Martin's been producing those for a client in Florida recently, and it's there, and occasionally it'll skip a little bit, but you know what? If you're on a moving train in New York City watching it on your phone on MP3 earbuds, you probably aren't going to be able to tell. And this is what's, we started. I should have a separate conversation with you and Martin about this. About a year and a half ago, McCartney.ai, we started Verified Voice Vault. And we are offering it as a Swiss vault to lock up your voice and your voice print, that if you're ever ripped off, we can give you all the litigation support you want to say, well, this is my real voice. And that, this
That's
is
great. You need to expand that to visuals now, because I think we're going to see a lot of that more and more in terms of if I had an account that say was voice verified, say with a bank, and you might call your bank up and they do a voice verification from print. Right. That can be hacked so easily right now with just maybe 7 minutes. If I had 7 minutes of you talking, I could create a convincing voice clone.
Right.
I could probably do it with 3, but this all goes back to the challenge of we're going to have to start to figure out what are the cues. What are the human cues to show us that we're actually dealing with a human? One of the things I talk about in the book is the uncanny valley. When we first started seeing all these computer movies, there was something that was always strange about the computer generated humans.
Yeah.
They wouldn't look right. We just knew instinctually that they weren't real. No, and the more real they tried to look, the creepier they kind of started to look. So I think we're going to, in a sense, have to create these types of tests that they had in Blade Runner, the Voight comp test. How do we identify that what we're interacting with is actually human?
Yeah.
So we're going to start to see. I've already started to notice that, especially younger people who work with AI every day, the way they communicate has started to adapt.
Wow.
They start talking to you as if they're prompting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So
The same way the text started to change of the vocabulary. When people started texting more and more, it started to change the way they wrote, punctuation, capitalization. All of those things started to change. And now you're starting to see a similar thing with interaction with AI. And we're going to start to see, I think, some on the other side, things that are so uniquely human that may have been considered a little rough around the edges or a little raw and polite company are actually now valued because it shows a level of humanity that they're not getting from the robots.
Right. Yeah. And
if I could go back almost a century, my mother used to say, never write anything down in a letter that you would not want to hear read out in a court of law.
Exactly.
yeah,
I've always said the internet's written in ink. Don't put anything on the internet that you want to have come back and get you.
and that's exactly the same thing. Yeah. I know it's a really, it's an interesting, again, we had, the Industrial Revolution, then the wheel, fire, the Industrial Revolution, and then the internet. And now we're at this crossroads again. And I think that if people would just stop being so scared of, oh, you're going to lose your job, learn something, go to the library, ask it to teach you, what should I be doing? And I think one of the things that that I would recommend that anybody learn of any age is prompt engineering. Can you talk a little bit about what that actually means in layman's terms? It's like being the train driver, isn't it?
It's like being the train driver, but it's to a certain extent like being a manager, a interrogator. You have to know what to ask. You have to know how to ask it. There are various rules, and they've changed over time. How you structure your prompts, what the first sentence should accomplish, or what you need to accomplish in what steps. Should I, at what point do I state the format that I want the results in? How specific do you get in terms of the sources that you wanted to research? That's already started to change a fair amount. But what hasn't changed is you have to know what you want to ask and how to ask it. And to a certain extent, that goes back to, again, experience. And if you're the type of person that's a good interviewer, that's good at managing people, if you're the type of person that is clear in what they want to know from certain people, those are the skills you need for prompt engineering and getting over the frustration. I've noticed a fair amount of programmers get frustrated because they'll ask, one, they're not great at dealing with other people, right? They've spent their formidable years in a small space, mostly interacting with a computer. You would think that'd make them ideal for AI, but no, they're used to putting in some code and getting a result. And if they don't, they can see exactly what happened. When they ask an AI to do something and it doesn't do it, they get very frustrated.
Interesting.
And they just sort of walk away. Well, it doesn't do this well. Well, what did you ask it? How did you ask it? Did you follow up? A lot of times I see that good prompt engineers quite often ask the AI after they get a result how it understood the initial instruction.
I do that all the time.
It's a bit like an interrogator dealing with a hostage taker.
Like you said, yeah.
Exactly. But I was thinking, going back to what you were talking about all these things changing over time, I was thinking about Angie, though, in the sense of you have seen, the last 100 years, and you're pushing towards that goal.
96, yeah.
Yeah, look at what's happened.
I know.
When you were born,
1929.
Did you have was there a phone in your home?
No.
God, no.
The nearest phone was in the presbytery of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
If you wanted to make a phone call, you had to go and knock on the door and ask the priest, could you come in and use the telephone?
And motor cars, maybe.
Well, motor cars had begun when I was young, But
Nobody had them.
people like us didn't have motor cars.
Well, once a year, was it Dr. McAlpine?
Yeah, my father he was a pharmacist, and he worked for a doctor who used to loan us his car and chauffeur once a year to drive us to a little cottage in North Wales for a week's holiday.
Yeah. So
That was when I remember us going out to get in the car, and all the neighbors would be out on the pavements watching. And as we drove away, my father would always put his hands in his pockets and throw all his loose change out of the window into the street, and the kids would scramble for it.
So you've seen everything from that to
what we're talking about now, ChatGPT.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, the amount of because up until about 100 years ago, people from 500 years ago wouldn't have been that shocked by things. Okay, you've got horses. You know, you've got better wagons. You got this telegraph thing, but you still have water wheels. Oh, the steam's interesting, but it's not that.
We didn't have electricity.
But you did. Yeah. So
gas lights.
They didn't have a refrigerator. You had the larder and the back step.
Ruth asked me the other day, how did you keep milk cold? I said, we put it in a bucket of water on the back kitchen step outside.
Yeah.
And the milkman came every morning.
And nobody died.
You'd leave an empty bottle with a note in it saying 1 pint or 2 pints or whatever.
Yeah. And you shopped every day because
you shopped every day. Yeah.
So the refrigerator was like AI. You put all the milkmen out of business.
Yes, sort of. Yeah.
Well, no, there are still milkmen, and they're coming back actually in England. We're writing our next book is a silly Becoming British book, and so we're doing a lot of research about that. And the milkmen and the postmen in those days, they were the human signal signs of life. If nobody picked up their milk or
newspaper
or the newspaper or emptied their mailbox, they would call for what we would now call social welfare check.
Yeah.
And that's how neighbors, knew if someone was ill or dead or
go and call the police or a priest.
Somebody would come to your house every day of the week. And I'm horribly afraid that the US Post Office is probably going to go away and be handled by Amazon, because it's that last mile problem that's the problem.
Or the AI will now call up the 911. My human fallen and can't get out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I've got one of those.
And just got a button that she can push. But it's incredible when you say that the arc of technology and inventions and things that Ange has seen. I mean, every house had a piano and every house had a radio. But, I remember the first day we got color television. It was in July of 1969. And my dad agreed to plunk down and put one on the drip because it was the investiture of Prince Charles as the Prince of Wales. And the Queen wore a pale butter yellow dress and a hat with pearls on it. And it was the first time we'd seen color television. And we had probably about 40 neighbors in an affluent neighborhood.
Your headmaster from school came with his wife.
Yep. My headmaster came to see this live thing in color. And that was 1969.
Mm-hmm. And that's now King Charles III.
And that's now our king. But I mean, it just, then the same year we witnessed Men on the Moon. And I have questions about that. I do have questions about that.
Don't we all?
But,
you're not a flat earther, though. That's good.
Oh, no, I'm not a flat earther. And I do believe that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin went up there. But who was holding the camera, taking the film when Neil Armstrong came down the ladder? Who was the first out of the door?
I once asked
they had a little robot arm that came out, and that took the picture.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they'll tell you.
I once asked Buzz Aldrin that very question, and he just smiled and said, "It's been very nice meeting you, dear. Excuse me, I see someone I have to talk to."
You see, Buzz Aldrin got into a fight with somebody who was harassing him about not going to the moon. And you can find it online. He just hauled off and punched the guy.
Good on him.
And this was Buzz Aldrin a couple of years before. Is he still alive? No.
Yes, I think he is.
He is. We've got a picture.
The last time I heard of him, he had a nice blonde trophy wife.
Yeah,
that'll keep you going.
Yeah, but you can find it online.
Yes,
he had a very good right hook even just a few years ago.
Yes.
But when you think about, they had 64 kilobytes, 64K, not even a megabyte of memory, and they sent people hurtling off into space with less computing power than you've got in a drugstore watch.
I'm always amazed that my favorite part of the Apollo 13 story is when they had to use it as a lifeboat. And of course, the walls were basically a few sheets of tinfoil, gold tinfoil. So they had to worry about putting their feet through the side of the lifeboat. But they also had to transfer the program from the command module to the lunar module with all the data. And they had to do it line by line manually. They had to write the code. They had to go in and literally type in the code themselves. So just keeping track and doing the math with the side rules.
Astonishing.
It's astonishing. It's astonishing. So I think, you know, it will be interesting to what humans hold on to. I think I've noticed that I think creatively we're going to start to see a lot more singer-songwriters and people like that, you know.
It's Buzz Aldrin's birthday today. He turned 96. Sammy from Atlanta just Googled it. And Buzz is alive and well. And happy birthday, Buzz Aldrin.
Happy birthday, Buzz Aldrin. Cheers.
Cheers. That is amazing. Joanne's saying, I thought the camera was attached to the lunar landing gear. Yeah, maybe. True. That is true. Martin's like, it was all shot in Burbank. But I have seen pictures, and maybe the negative was printed in reverse, where in those huge ass moon suits, Buzz Aldrin was sitting next to the exit door, and there's no way Neil Armstrong could have climbed over him. Aha.
Okay. See? Tune in next week.
Next I want you to get Buzz Aldrin on, and I want to be on too, and we got to go through this.
And again, maybe the picture was, you know, yes, but there you go. Che is saying, who pushed the camera button? Oh, it was AI in 1969. Didn't you know, Che?
I recommend a fun movie that I saw, a really bad fun movie, Capricorn 1. About a mission. It's a movie from the early 70s. It is starring O.J. Simpson's in it. O.J. Simpson, Sam Waterston, and who's married to Barbara Streisand?
Yes.
Josh Brolin.
Very handsome man. Yes, indeed.
Yes. So the three of them play the first mission to go to Mars. They pull them out at the very last minute from the launch pad and launch the rocket because they realized life support wouldn't work. So they keep them faking it at a studio in Burbank. But the problem is they're all set to put them back in the helicopter when it lands, but it burned up in the atmosphere. So all of a sudden they're alive, they're on Earth, and they have to go on. They have to escape.
Witness protection program.
Oh, lovely.
What's the name of the movie again?
Capricorn 1.
Okay, I've heard of it.
Elliot Gould.
I will definitely.
That's right, Elliot Gould.
He plays a sassy reporter who's on the case.
And that was Barbara Streisand's first husband. So she's got both her husbands in it.
No,
wasn't Elliot Gould married to Barbara Streisand?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
And so is James Brolin.
Yes,
and they're both in the same movie.
Are they?
There they are.
They both are. Oh, I see. I thought maybe we'd identified the wrong husband. That's all.
No.
Oh, very interesting.
No. Duly noted, says Jay. Well, that's fantastic. So, Michael, tell people where they can find it's on Amazon, right?
It's wherever you purchase your reading materials.
Fabulous. And is there either a LinkedIn page or a Facebook or a web area that you want to send anybody to learn more about you?
You can learn more about me in the book at superstringtheory.us.
Okay.
Which is my website. And I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook and TikTok.
Okay. Well, you're just everywhere. Now, everywhere. Our regular viewers will know that Angie is the Limerick lady. She has a book out called Mrs. McCartney's Liverpool Limericks and Other Random Irish Haikus. And so here we go. If you're sitting comfortably, we will read you your guest limerick. Yay. Okay. You want to count it off?
I will. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, what a deep. Want to start again?
Yes, okay. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, what a deep thinker, Moroney. He believes AI needn't be phony. His interesting book helps us all take a look at how far we have come since Marconi. Ta-da!
Thank you.
Okay.
Absolutely. This was just so much fun. We need to.
Yeah.
We need to.
We'll have
dig-
to. You have to put that on my Amazon page as a review.
Okay,
I will.
absolutely
Yeah,
will.
sure.
Yes, if you guys go get the book, I highly recommend it. And please do leave Michael and his crazy publisher, Dr. Simon Mills and E&R Publishing, a 6 out of 5 or 11 out of 10, however that works. And give my love to Cara, and we'd love to have her on sometime, talk about architecture and
Yes,
being-
she's been doing a lot of exciting things.
Good.
yeah, she is a fabulous human, and being a woman in the architecture field can't have been an easy climb, but she's made it to the top.
Yes.
That's fantastic. All right, kids. Well, we will see you all of a sudden. And Che says, "Oh, that was great, my first show." Thank you, Che, for tuning in. I'd be very interested to know how you heard about us. That's very interesting. And today's episode was brought to you by Mrs. McCartney's Teas.com.
Okay.
We will see you guys all of a sudden. Stay well, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you
Bye.
guys.
As they
Bye.
say.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.